Hey, all right. Well, welcome to Dan Brown Builds, and this is my YouTube channel where I'm going to talk a little bit about general contracting and construction careers. So, this is really my first video doing longer form content, so you have to apologize if I tend to kind of ramble on a little bit here. Some of you might know me, I guess, from a Twitter account called Dan Brown Builds, also TikTok, Dan Brown Builds, where I've done kind of shorter form content or written content like Twitter. But I thought, I've been thinking a lot about YouTube, especially TikTok. There's a lot of comments about really the same questions that get kind of asked over and over again. So I figure I might as well just kind of come on here and talk for a longer period of time. So, first, if you're interested in this content, smash that follow button. Thank you very much. Or tell your friends. Second, thank you so much for tuning in. So this video is particularly about how to get a job out of college in construction management. Okay, this is a question I'm literally asked a million times on TikTok, so I figure I'd just come on here and talk about it a little further. So I usually have three recommendations for people who want to get a job in construction management right out of college. So this video is for somebody that is getting a bachelor's degree or getting an associate's degree. Sometimes the question is, well, does it matter if you have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree? And frankly, my answer to that is really it doesn't matter. Once you get in the careers and once you get a job, ultimately, unfortunately, depending on your point of view, the education really truly doesn't matter as much. What really matters is your work experience and the kind of relationship you have and the actual quality of work you do. There's a lot of executives in the companies that I know of that have come from the trades themselves or have a bachelor's degree or have an associate's degree. And frankly, I don't really think there's a correlation between who succeeds and the education they have. If anything, your education, especially if you do a civil engineering degree and you come out of school, you may actually have a disadvantage over people that have a construction management certificate. Frankly, because you don't have the construction background. All you've done in school is concrete design or, foundation design, and you don't even know really what construction is. So, just kind of keep that in mind. I guess that's just to answer, the question of, what degree do I have? And this question can also be directed to people that have construction experience and, hey, how do I get my foot in the door in this industry? Okay. So, one other thing I'll state, a lot of this is going to be, how to get your first job out of college. This isn't necessarily how to become the CEO of a company or how to become a construction manager necessarily. Your first job out of college or out of the trades is likely going to be what's called a field engineer. And the field engineer is really, you are an assistant to the superintendents on site who are the ones really directing the trades. And your responsibilities will likely be a wide range of tasks that involve getting to know the trades and helping the trades have what they have to be successful. And you're also eyes and ears from the superintendent that, that they need in order to be successful. So you may be doing quantity takeoffs. You may be doing some level of field measurements. You might be doing quality checks on subtrades work that are in place. You might be doing things like I pushed a broom. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of backbreaking work, but I learned a lot. So it's really just a wide variety of tasks, but really it gets you what is a breadth of knowledge across just being on a construction site. You're likely going to be, especially if you're on a job with lots of field engineers, you're probably going to have a good time. You're all going to be working long hours. You're all going to be fairly underpaid. And, hopefully there's a bar nearby where you guys can indulge yourself after work. Okay. So now really onto the topic of how to get your first job. So in TikTok, a lot of times I have talked about three buckets. And so let's go through each of the three buckets. So the first bucket is to get an internship. So chances are, if you're watching this video, you may be in school, you may be, a couple years you're probably in a, let's say, a 2 to 4 year degree, and you're looking to a couple years or 1 to 2 years ahead and saying, how do I get my foot in the door and get a job out of school? Or you might be in a trades, same deal. And so the first and best advice I give a lot of people is to find an internship. And so an internship is a job that is often paid hourly and for a very short duration of time, usually about 4 months, which could be your summertime, for instance. I would recommend getting an internship with a large general contractor or a large specialty subcontractor like an electrical or a plumbing company. And so, what do I mean by large? So, there is a website called the ENR, or Engineering News Record, and they publish every year a list of the largest contractors in America. And I think some other countries, potentially Canada. Um, so, they usually publish around the top 100 or 200 contractors. Find from that list those contractors. Now, not saying you need to pick the top three in order to be successful. I'm saying a large contractor will have certain processes in place that will ensure you are being trained effectively when you're just starting in your career. So if you work for a very small, let's say family operated, or like when I say family operated, like a small contractor, those may be only a few salaried employees, they may not be training you in a way that is effective for your long-term success. I'm not saying you have to be with a large general contractor or a large contractor forever, but I would recommend it for the first few years of your career in order to kind of get your foot in the door and to give yourself a breadth and depth of knowledge that can allow you to be successful in whatever else you want to do in construction management. So, they're going to have effective kind of training processes in place when you get that internship. And I think it's really important when you're starting your career to be trained effectively. If you're not trained well, and you don't have the right people training you, and you don't have the right processes training you, you're going to be trained wrong. And frankly, it's going to set you back and potentially even hold you back from being successful. So how do you get an internship, and what are people looking for? Recruiters. A lot of times the human resources department in these companies are the ones that are going to be doing the hiring. I would recommend you kind of need two things that are really important. The one thing I'll share with you that is not as important is construction knowledge. People realize when you're starting out in your career, construction you're not going to know much about. And in fact, construction is one of those industries that you can be in it for a long time, like yourself, and you still don't know very much. So, so what are people looking for? One is, I would say, a hunger for knowledge and hunger for being curious. Hunger that you want to work hours and you want to succeed and you want to learn. All of those characteristics are very, very important. You can always teach people things, knowledge, but it's hard to teach people the right attitude. I think you have to come in with the right attitude, and that attitude has to be a hunger for success and a hunger for desire. And then the second thing I would suggest is to understand about the company and to be passionate about the company itself. So let's say you want to work for a company like Turner Construction. They're a really large general contractor, or Hewitt. Go on their website, find out what their company values are, find out projects that are on their website that you're actually interested about, perhaps they're in your area. And then when you get to the human resources, you're in your interview, you can kind of show up armed with that knowledge already, that you know what you're talking about. You know about the company, you know about the history, you know about their core values, their vision and their mission. You can even go on and maybe find annual reports, find out how much revenue they've been doing the last couple of years, find out what projects they've been doing, and come to that and come armed with questions for them. Like, hey, what's the challenging part in your market today? Or, what projects do you have on the horizon that I could be interested in? show interest in the actual business, their own business, and it's going to help you get that foot in the door. So that's the two things I would be suggest: get an internship, and underneath that, come armed with a desire to work there and a passion and a hunger for knowledge. And the second thing is, come armed with that you know their business, or a little bit about their business. So again, finding an internship, that's very important to getting kind of your first job. The second thing is I would suggest, again, this is assuming you're in school or you're currently working in the trades and you want to shift to construction management, is to join an organization that has networking events and build relationships at those networking events. So what organizations am I talking about? So an easy one is the Association of General Contractors, the AGC. Chances are your market will have an organization like that. There are sector-specific organizations, and what I mean by that, there's a DBIA, or Design Build Institute of America, or a private public-private partnership organization called P3. That's what I mean by sector specific or industry specific. There's also ones that like related to construction at schools or construction of roads and bridges. Join those and go to their networking events. Find out what their speaking events. A lot of times these organizations have what are called young leader programs. If you're under 35 or under 40, you can get a discount. Sometimes you can go to the events for free. Sometimes they have mixers at bars. Get to know people that are in those markets and that are already working, that can help you get a foot in the door. And I don't mean you have to know the CEO or the vice president of a company, but you can simply get to know people whose job you want. For instance, like another field engineer or project engineer or assistant project manager or a junior estimator. Those kind of people can still get you your foot in the door. You don't need to necessarily be worried about meeting the people at the top. There are other great organizations. I got them on a computer screen behind me here. Bear with me here. I gotta actually type this in. Okay, and here's the thing: you can join organizations that aren't necessarily around construction itself. You can join engineering organizations, or organizations that are more around architects or city planning. So ones that I can think of is the American Society of Civil Engineers. Another one is the American Concrete Institute, and another one is ULI. So ULI is the Urban Land Institute. All these organizations, they always have mixers, and it's great. There's also, I would also look for organizations that are perhaps targeted towards a specific type of person. So here in Los Angeles, there's the Asian American Association of Architects and Engineers. That's a great one. You don't need to be Asian American to join. There's always great people to learn from. Another one is the Society of Marketing Professionals, SMPS. That's also another good one. Again, not necessarily construction related, but lots of construction events, and it's always great. So, you're going to go to these mixers, you're going to go to the networking events. Go in not necessarily with these huge expectations that you're going to run around passing your resume. Just go in, try and make friends with people, and all you're really trying to do is to make friends and start to build a relationship and start to get to know these people. And finally, then what you're going to do is kind of take that to the next step, which is also my third piece of advice, which is find mentors that can help you get a foot in the door. So let's say you know a couple of people, you've met them in these industries, you don't have any internships because you're maybe already out of school and you've kind of foregone that piece. But you're going to maybe know a couple of people after you've attended these events. So what you can do is take them out for coffee and say, I want you to be my mentor. Tell me about this industry. Tell me about the challenges you have. What keeps you up at night? What makes you stressed out? What do you love about it? How much? You can even ask them how much you get paid, for instance. Who else should I meet? That's also a nice question. You're just trying to get a sense of the wider of their career, get a sense of the wider kind of breadth of the industry, get a sense of the different companies involved. You're trying to gather this knowledge so that you can build relationships and again, perhaps get your foot in the door to another interview. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. If you kind of follow those 3 steps, get an internship, join organizations and attend networking events, and find mentors, especially mentors that can champion you when eventually your resume, you get an opportunity to be interviewed. That's very key. So again, those 3 steps, I guarantee you will somehow get your foot in the door. I would also say the kind of asterisk to all of this is don't necessarily be worried about getting the best job right away. If all you're looking to do is to get your first job, it doesn't need to be with the best company that you're going to be with forever. A job can be fleeting. It's not necessarily a place that you're going to have to stay with forever. The purpose of getting your first job is to simply get your foot in the door. You can stay for a couple of years, get trained, and then find another job. There's always people in the construction industry looking for good people out there. If you're good, you're going to have a job. So that's pretty much it. This is my first video. I realize I'm kind of shaky at this. I'm trying my best, so I appreciate you hanging in there. If you have any questions, please comment them below. I'm happy to answer. And I would please ask if you can please subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned. There's a lot more content coming, and I look forward to seeing where this grows. So thank you so much. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter and TikTok under Dan Brown Builds. And I look forward to having a lot more conversation in the future. Thanks so much.